Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Points of Articulation. My name's Dave, and if you're new to the channel, welcome everybody. Today I'm looking at the Star Wars Armada Onager class Star Destroyer expansion pack, released in 2020. The Onager class Star Destroyer, also known as the Siegebreaker, was first mentioned in the Star Wars The Rebel Files book, released in 2018. Now this ship is pretty awesome in my opinion. It's got a lot going for it, a very interesting shape, different than what we saw with other Imperial vessels, at the moment. Also, as you might have heard me mention, I did refer to it as the Siegebreaker, and that's because in the front of this vessel, down this trench right here, is two giant cannons, and we're going to take a look at them. And basically the real name for these is the Super Heavy Composite Beam Turbolasers / Orbital Bombardment Particle Cannons. And that's why it's called the Siegebreaker. This can shoot different ships from large distances away and also bombard planets. This could take out all opposition, and I love that idea. We saw something similar to this in the Rise of Skywalker with their new Star Destroyers with the planet killer devices attached on them. And also, the Eclipse class had a beam on it. Hopefully we'll see some of those ships in the future of Armada, but we'll see what happens with that. Now, what's really interesting about this ship is, besides it having a normal reactor like other Imperial vessels, it also has a reactor in it, specifically for its super weapons. And this is powered by Kyber crystals, very similar to the Death Star. And that's awesome in my opinion. Such a great idea to make the Death Star's weapons portable in a way. Very interesting. So now getting back to this particular miniature, for the size of this beauty, it's a tad over 6.5 inches long, which is very nice in my opinion. So enough of me yapping, we know what's going to happen now. We're going to take a look at the dials and tokens, the cards, the rules, the mold, look at that beautiful paint scheme, which is very similar to all other Imperial vessels, put it back on a stand, compare it to some other vessels, and then we'll be done. So let's get moving! And now it's time for my favorite part of these videos, the dial token roll call. 3 command dials, 1 speed dial, 1 large ship token, which is double-sided, 5 defense tokens, 4 raid tokens, and finally 4 target lock-in tokens. So that does it for all the dials and tokens. Now let's take a look at the cards. And now looking at the cards, like always I will read the name of the card. If you would like to pause the video and read the stats below, by all means go right ahead and continue when you're done. First up is General Romedy, Commander Beck, oh man I'm gonna butcher this bad boy, Reva de Mensen, Gunnery Chief Vernilian, 2 local fire control cards, Flag Bridge, 2 heavy fire zones, All Fighters Follow Me, Orbital Bombardment Particle Cannons, Super Heavy Composite Beam Turbolasers, Cataclysm, Raykel, and finally Sunder. So that does it for all 15 upgrade cards. So now let's take a look at the 2 ship cards. And now looking at our ship cards, the first one up is the Onager class test bed. We have 10 hull, black anti-squadron die, 3 command, 1 squadron, 3 engineering. We have our defenses right there. For our arcs, I don't know, in my opinion it's kind of weak. However, it does have the ignition device or super laser weapon. You need to use the target lock tokens according to the rulebook, but we do have a lot of red and black there. So, very interesting if I do say so myself. Then on the bottom we have our possible upgrade slots as well as 96 points for the price. Moving on to the second ship card, we have the Onager class Star Destroyer. 10 hull, black and blue anti-squadron die. 3 command, 2 squadron, 3 engineering. Our defenses, our turns, our fire and arcs on this one are a little bit better than the one previously. And our ignition device has some blue dice now. Very interesting. On the bottom, we have our possible upgrades, and the price for this one is 110 points. And before we go, just so everybody can compare the 2, let's see the differences. Basically, this one, the test bed, is just a prototype, obviously. And then the Star Destroyer version is more souped up for battle. Pretty cool. So that does it for all the dials, tokens, and cards. So now let's take a quick look at the rules before we look at this beautiful model. And now, taking a quick look at the rules, we have this Onager class Star Destroyer opening paragraph on page 1, as well as a full list of components, including the bases, tokens, and cards. On page 2, we have the beginning of some new rules, including large size class ships, salvo defense tokens, raid tokens, yaw at speed 0, and the beginning of the special battery armament, or the super weapon. On page 3, we have everything you need to know about ignition attacks or the super weapon of this vessel, including how to use the targeting tokens and so on and so forth. On the last page, we have some more rules on the top, followed by all our credits and copyright crap. All in all, it's a nice little booklet for the rules. It explains everything with some nice illustrations. And now, we could take a look at that beautiful ship. So finally, let's take a great look at this model. Just like in all my videos, I will go over all the major sections of the vessel, and then we'll get a nice close-up look to see those fine details. So for the main parts of this, we have 2 shield domes, which look pretty good. We'll have a close-up look of everything in just a few. We have our bridge, looking amazing. Then we have 6 turbolasers, 3 on each side, looking very good. Tons of paneling and modules. A very cool profile right there. Looking good. On the bottom, we do have a reactor similar to other Imperial vessels, which looks pretty cool. Again, tons of armor and paneling going around the bottom. Looking pretty cool. On the back, we have our engines. Looking dope as always. And then in the front, we have our super laser right here. Or heavy turbo lasers, if you will. A fantastic looking design, and as you can see, it is just filled with different rings going to the main ignition device. Fantastic, and we'll have a closer look at all that in a few. But very interesting, a great looking design in my opinion. You know, I'm kind of getting tired of just seeing wedges, so this is a nice addition to the collection in my opinion. So now, let's get a closer look. Alright, having a closer look, we'll begin looking at the bottom of the craft. I want to start in the aft section. As you can see here, we do have some negative space with these slats. Very nice. I love the mold here. And that goes all the way past the engines to the outer side. Very nice. I like that very much. Great detail. Now for the main body, we have a lot of paneling, raised sections, a lot of neat angles, and that's all this thing is. It's a bunch of angles. If I turn it like this, you can see all these beautiful designs here, especially on the center, and that cool angle right there. Just fantastic. I love all the raised sections. Nothing is flat on here whatsoever. Very nice. Now, I guess I could see the argument, you know, just like every other Imperial ship, which is true. It all has these rectangular paneling sections here and there. But this one's a little special. It does have a lot going for it. Here we come to the centerpiece. Very nice. And I have to say, I love the reactor right here, and we'll get to that in just a few. But coming down here, more beautiful paneling. Mine has all these hairs attached or painted onto it. Ugh. Not a real fan of that, but pretty interesting design. Despite that hair issue, look at that paneling. Very nice. We have our peg port for our stand right there. Now the reactor is very cool. Molded extremely well. We have these nice molded sections going around it. Of course, the peg is embedded into the reactor itself, but it's not bad. You know, I do think the mold is pretty well done. Coming up to the top, again, we have that cool angle right here. Looking very interesting. I think that came out great. Coming down the sides, beautiful. I love all the sections here, especially by the super weapon on the bottom. Fantastic stuff. All these pieces, great. Nothing is flat. Just fantastic. The amount of detail on here is amazing. Coming up to the front of the ship, Again, beautiful details on here. And it offshoots to the side. Love the triangular shapes here. Very nice. I think that came out great. Coming back to this side, we can see those raised sections again. Look at that. Just beautiful. Very nice. I think that came out great. And then we have that other piece coming down with all the triangular shapes. Looking good. And of course, by the super weapon, we do have these beautiful molded sections coming down. Fantastic stuff. Nice. Now I guess we'll look at the center section, or the trench as some people like to call it. Of course we have our super weapon right there. But look at all the beautiful details in this trench section here. Fantastic. This is some great stuff. We can see some piping, modules. Really cool. Turning it around this way. No real detail in between there. But an interesting part is back here. We can see some beautiful detailing. And right here looks to be some sort of hangar bay, which is very interesting. Then we have more details coming here, which looks cool. And more detailing coming down the side. What looks to be another hangar bay right here. Just an amazing amount of detail. I love all the little shapes and doodads. I think it looks really good in my opinion anyway. Very nice. For the other side, it's similar. Little differences here and there. But for the most part, it's identical. We can see all the beautiful work in there. Some great stuff. Again, no real detail in between these sections here. And then moving on to the interior. Again, we can see some beautiful molding. What looks to be a blast door right there. You can see how it looks all shut. And then we have some great modules on the corner piece here. Looking good. And then we had that excellent mold. Another blast door which looks open on this side. That's pretty interesting. The other side had that X on it. Sorry about that. And then scrolling down, we can see this beautiful design work in here. Really nice. I love all the shapes. Beautiful. And then we have our engine section. I put on my camera light so that way we could see inside of here because it is a little dark with that wash. But just look at all this beautiful detail in there. The interior. We'll look at the engines in a little bit. But a fantastic amount of detail. I think my favorite sections might be the sides here. Very interesting stuff. Really cool. And also the bottoms are nicely done as well. Just look at that. Fantastic stuff. They don't even need to do all this amount of detail, but they do. And I'm thankful for it. And of course we have the tops. Nicely done. I love the mold in here. With this little dome and this little waffle. Or I should say crisscross design. Pretty nice. Sick. And now turning my light off, I want to take a look at these engines. Look at the side right here. You can see all the beautiful detailing. How the black wash just cleans onto all those details and really brings these engines to life. Fantastic stuff. And I like how the too far engines do stick out of the mold. That's pretty interesting. But I think they look great. And best part is that they're recessed in as we saw before. I love the molding in there. Really cool. And this engine is the same exact way. Looking good. You can see some minor details on the interior, as well as the outside. Fantastically done. I think they did a great job with that. Now for the interior, we do have an engine similar to these two, right there. And then two little engines, and you can see they're recessed and molded very nicely. I think those came out great. Love the little details. And then for their detailing, you can see they are like basically cylinders with a little detail going around. Not much to write home about. The main engine does have a little more detailing around it, but since it's all built into the body, it loses some of the detail that the other ones have. Pretty interesting though. And then we have our other little one. Looking very nice. So now let's take a look at the main body. Now looking at the top of the vessel, I'm going to get some good shots of the bridge and the shield domes later on, but I just want to do a main spotlight on the top panel in here, which is fantastic. In the aft section, we do have that negative space like the bottom, and that goes all the way to the edges, just like the bottom of the craft. Looking very cool. I think that came out great. Now for the paneling, it's similar to all the other Imperial ships. Nothing is flat here, as you can see. We have ups and downs all throughout the main body here. And I think it's amazing. Love the triangular pattern here. Coming down, we have more paneling and modules. Looking really cool. Coming to the front. We have some raised sections coming down here. Looking good. Just an amazing piece. I like this quite a bit. And then we have our front section with this cool module here. We have what looks to be a seam line going down the center. Don't know how I feel about that, but it's not too bad. And then coming down, we have some beautiful molding and panel lines, which look pretty damn good. Especially this section. Looking dope. Coming down back here. Get a nice shot of this side. Looking amazing. Love the paneling. And like I mentioned, nothing is flat. You can see that. It looks great. Like this section here with all the pipes coming out. Nice little detail there. Again, another seam line it looks like. Pretty odd for an Armada ship. But then coming down, again, some beautiful details here. Amazing stuff. And even on these pieces, nothing is flat. Everything is raised up or lowered in. And to me, that looks amazing. So now looking at the superstructure, which is probably my favorite part on here. Just look at that. We have our bridge section here, and instead of the shield domes being on the top, they are actually located in the front. So you know what, let's start right here in the front of the ship. And you can see those beautiful shield domes, nicely detailed. We have the little stanchions, they're angled. Some beautiful stuff there. Fantastic. Those came out great. Get a little aft shot. And I know I'm taking a lot of time showing off the detail here, but I just like this ship. And I want everybody at home to see what kind of great stuff there is on here. Pretty cool. Moving on, we have this race section right in the front, which looks pretty cool. Lots of paneling. And on the sides, we have 3 Turbolasers. You can see the barrels there looking great. Pretty cool. Then coming around to this side, you can see the angles there. And then our 3 Turbolasers. And now coming to the side here, we can see some beautiful detailing. Lots of different modules here, which look very impressive to me anyway. And we have this flat piece here with beautiful paneling at different heights. You can see how it is raised up. Looking good. Coming to the aft. Again, some beautiful details coming throughout. Pretty nice stuff. Moving to the side. We have what looks to be a giant hose here, or a pipe. More detailing on the steps here. And I just love all the little nooks and crannies. Fantastic. And then in the front, we have some detailing right here underneath the bridge section. Looking good. This little module here. Very nice. For the neck, you can see some beautiful detail in here. Like the side of a mountain. Lots of lines. Little raised sections here and there. Protruding outward. As you can see, it is protruding out. Looking good. Whoops. Same goes for this side. Fantastic stuff. For the back of the neck, you can see some great detail in here. Beautiful stuff. Look at all that. That is great. For the bridge itself on the top, some great detail in here. I think that came out great. Amazing stuff. Come to the side, you can see some great detailing. Even on the underneath, which is hard for me to get, but you can see some line work underneath there, which is pretty cool. Looking very nice. And I like the front here. You can see that great mold. Pretty cool. And one of the cool parts is that this section on top is actually raised up, and you could see right here how you have that big rectangle just floating there. That's pretty cool. I like that. Nice attention to detail. All in all, a very nicely done ship. So finally, let's take a look at the super weapon. Now, for the main weapon on this vessel, it is a little dark and hard to see in there, so I will activate the light. So now that the light is on, we could have a better look on the interior, and we could see the two rings that are on each side are nicely detailed. And as we go back, you could see there's another ring, another one right there, and finally two on the interior, which is where the beams would come out of, which is pretty cool. And let's see if we could get a nice shot of the interior of that. You can see there is a lot of detailing in there. It's a little hard to make out, but you can see there is a dish right here inside of that ring. And it does have some minor detailing. See if we could see it on this side a little better. There you go. Looking good. We have some detailing on the interior here. Right there above my finger where it's dark now. You can see some molding with some modules sticking out. Which is pretty cool. Now looking down in here, you can see this nice long piece that's molded. Pretty nice. We can see some details on the interior as well. Looking very cool. I think that looks great. And I love the other rings in there. I think those look good as well. Very interesting design. See what it looks like from the bottom. A little hard to make out. But yeah, we got our rings there. Maybe I could do it from this angle. Yeah, there we go. We can see the interior right here above my thumb. That dish right there. Looking good, and that's on both sides. And I'm sorry, this is a very unique vessel to film. I'm just trying to get all the good shots for you guys. Then we have the ring there. More detailing coming down. Our other ring. And then to the front. It's very interesting. And you can see that in the interior here, there is a lot of detailing. It's just hard for me to get light in there. Let me see what I could do. Alright, now this is as close as I can possibly get with my camera. And you can see the interiors of here are very detailed with tons of molded sections. Even on the tops there. Looking pretty interesting. And then of course we have our other rings, which are detailed as well. And then our aft section where the dishes are. Pretty cool, I will say so myself. Just hard to get a camera in there. And that does it for the mold. Hopefully I covered everything. This is a very cool looking ship, but I'm not gonna lie, it is very hard to get light or my camera into the super weapon trench. Hopefully I did a good job and everybody's happy with that. But it's a very unique ship, very different than anything we've seen in the Imperial Navy thus far, and I really dig it. So now, let's take a look at the paint. And now, looking at the paint on the Star Wars Armada Onager class Star Destroyer, this baby only has 4 different colors, that's it. And it should be a shock to nobody what they are if you're a fan of Imperial vessels. The first colors up is a beautiful gray and dark gray, and we can see it all over the hull here. I love the contrast between the light gray on the main hull and the paneling of the dark gray. I think that looks amazing. Pretty cool, and that's located on the top, the bottom, looking great. And then we have light gray going all around the sides here. Now it may seem a little dark, and at first I thought it was dark gray as well. However, it's just a lot of wash, and we'll get to that. But you can see the engines are painted light gray as well. Looking good. And then coming around the sides, the aft section of the main forward. And then that awesome looking front right there. Very nice. Now, moving on from there, our third color is electric blue for none other than the engines, which came out amazing in my opinion. Very nice. I love the engine glow. And finally, the last color is a beautiful black wash. And it goes in every single nook and cranny, panel line, piece of molding, and really adds a layer of depth to the model, bringing it to life and making it look real. And I know that sounds weird because it's just an acrylic model, but man, it looks great. You can see all the details in the superstructure here. Just a fantastic piece. All the panel lines are shaded in. Fantastic. Now, they went heavy in the aft section here to the point where it looks dark gray. But if you look closely, you can see that there is light gray. And the black wash is on there. So let's get a closer look at that. Now, having a closer look at the aft section here, we can see that the main color is indeed light gray. And all this dark gray we see is just heavy wash. You can see how it's pooled in the back here on the engine. And then on the bottom here. And you can see how it's covering all the other engines as well. Just very cool. I think this came out great. Pretty nice. And you could just tell how it's all wash. It has that grainy look to it that the paint gives. And it just makes all the details pop. Great stuff. So moving on from there, we do have black wash on the bottom as well. Look at that beautiful job. Great stuff. And of course it goes around the sides and front, just filling in all the nooks and crannies and really making this model special. A fantastic paint job on a very cool looking ship. So that does it for the mold as well as the paint. So now let's put this baby back on the stand, compare it to some other vessels, and then we'll be done. Now moving on to the stand, we should all be pros at this. We take our base, the ship token, stick it on our plastic base like so. We take our pylon, place it in, and we're going to lock it in. Once that's done, you can put your base down like so. Take your ship, be gentle, attach it like so, and just like that, everybody, you are good to go. And now for a quick size comparison with the Star Wars Armada Onager class Star Destroyer. Why not compare it to everything in the series so far? Up first, starting off on the left-hand side, we have the Phoenix Home, the CR-90 Corvette, Hammerhead Corvette, and the Nebulon B frigate. Up next, we have the GR-75 transports, the Gazantes, Imperial Raider, and the Akatens. Up next on the left-hand side, we have the Quasar Fire, a very nice looking vessel, followed by the Imperial Gladiator class Star Destroyer. Next, we have the Assault Frigate Mark II, a very interesting looking vessel. And then on the far right-hand side, we have the MC-30 Frigate, a very interesting ship indeed. Up next, we have the Interdictor on the left-hand side, one of my favorite ships. And then on the far right-hand side, we have the Victory class Star Destroyer, which many people at home have. Up next, we have some other large base vessels. Starting off on the left-hand side, we have the Profundity, which is almost the same length as the Onager. We have Home 1, the MC-80, and then on the far right-hand side, we have the MC-80 Liberty. Very cool-looking ships here. And here we have the Onager class with 2 Imperial Star Destroyers. First, on the left-hand side, we have the Chimera, and then on the far right, we have the generic Imperial Star Destroyer. As you can see, the Onager may be a very long vessel and wide at that tip, but compared to the Imperial Star Destroyers, it is small in comparison. And here we have the Onager class with the Starhawk, which, my god, the Starhawk is such a giant vessel. If I turned them like this, you could just see how the 2 vessels are drastically different in size. Amazing stuff. Both very, very unique ships, both very detailed. I think out of all the different expansions, this one might be one of my favorites because of how unique these vessels are. Real nice job. I can't wait to see what comes out next. Hopefully Clone Wars. And here's the Onager class next to the Super Star Destroyer. Just look at the size difference there. Amazing. And you know what? Since I do have all the ships out, might as well get a nice group shot with the Starhawk as well. And you can see how even the Starhawk is dwarfed by the Super Star Destroyer. So that basically does it for my size comparison section. I compared the Onager class to every single vessel in the Armada line, minus the squadrons. And I have to say, even though it's not as grand as a Super Star Destroyer, or beefy like the Naduri Starhawk, this ship on its own merit is a beautiful design, a cool mechanic with that super weapon, and I think it shines as a unique vessel in the whole game of Armada. I really enjoy this. Now, with all the ships I did compare this to, I reviewed them already, so if you're interested in checking out any of those videos, check the links in the description below. And that's everything I have to say today for this Star Wars Armada Onager class Star Destroyer expansion pack released in 2020. This expansion gives you everything you need to add one Onager class Star Destroyer to your Imperial faction of Armada. And I think it's a great addition. It has some great firepower and a very unique shape, which adds a lot to the Imperial faction. You know, as I said earlier, a lot of the Imperial ships are just wedges. This has a very unique shape, and I do like it quite a bit. Now, for the miniature itself, the mold, it is very different, and I really enjoy it. I think it is a great departure from what we're used to, and the panel lines and molding on it are fantastic. I especially like the super laser section, the shield dome area, and also the engines. Well done. Now moving on to the paint, if you're a player of the Imperial faction, there's nothing new here. It's gray, dark gray, blue, and a wash. That's it. But I'm not upset about it because many Imperial vessels were all the same color. So, right on, you're keeping with the schematics of what it is to be an Imperial vessel, and I'm down with that. It works. So that's everything I have to say about the Siegebreaker today. I really hope you enjoyed my video. If you did, hit that like button. And if you'd like to see new reviews every Thursday, subscribe. Again, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to watch my video. It really means a lot to me. And I hope everybody's doing well and is being safe during these bad times with the virus spreading around the planet. I hope my video entertained you and made you forget a little bit about what's going on. Until next time, everybody, stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.